We have learned that the words beginning, middle, and end can tell us where or the place in a row that something can be found. These same words can tell us when something has happened. When we listen to a story, we can use the words beginning, middle, and end to tell us what has happened in each part of the story. Now, I am going to tell you some stories. You must listen very carefully because when I am finished, you're going to help me figure out what happened at the beginning of the story, in the middle of the story, and at the end of the story. So pay close attention. One day, a king was reading a book. He just finished his book when the queen asked him if he wanted to sail on their boat. I would love to sail on the boat with you, said the king. So the king and queen got on the boat. All of a sudden, there was a big thunderstorm with lots of rain. Uh-oh, we better get home quickly, the king and queen said, and they sailed back to the castle. Now I am going to mix the pictures up that show the things that happened in our story, and let's see if you can help me remember the correct order. Let's think about what happened at the beginning of the story. The beginning of the story is the first part of the story. Who remembers what happened at the beginning of our story about the king and queen? The king was reading a book. Now, let's think about what happened in the middle of the story. The middle of the story is what happened next after the king read his book. The middle. The king and queen sailed on the boat. After the king read a book at the beginning of the story, the king and queen sailed on a boat. That is what happened in the middle of the story. Now, let's think about what happened at the end of the story. The end of the story is what happened last. Nothing else happened after the end of the story. Does anyone remember what happened at the end of the story? There was a thunderstorm. Yes, great job. After the king and queen sailed on the boat in the middle of the story, there was a big thunderstorm. So they had to go home. That is what happened at the end of the story. These pictures show the story of the king and queen's day in the order that everything happened in the story. At the beginning of the story, the king was reading a book. Later on that day, the king and queen, oh, sorry, I thought I had to retell the story. Let me back it up just a minute. Doom, doom, doom. Here we go. Jonna was feeling sick and had to stay inside all day. In the morning, Jonna snuggled up in her bed and read her favorite book. When she finished her book, Jonna and her mom painted a picture of Jonna's family. Then Jonna and her mom baked muffins. By the time the day was over, Jonna was feeling better. So let's look at our pictures. Which one happened first? What was at the beginning of the story? She was reading a book. What happened next in the middle of the story? They painted a picture. What happened last at the end of the story? They made muffins. Awesome job, everyone. Here comes another story. Dominic was excited to learn to ride a bike. His uncle got Dominic's bike out of the shed. Dominic put his jacket on and his shiny new helmet. His uncle walked next to him and helped him balance. When his uncle let go, Dominic rode all the way to the tree at the end of the street. What happened first in our story at the beginning? They got out the bike. What happened in the middle of the story? He put his jacket on. What happened at the end of the story? They rode his bike to the end of the block to the tree. Great job, everyone.